Hello and welcome back to the video from me, FPL Crusader. Today we are looking at the Game Week 24 transfer plans for midweek. I'll be looking at some transfers, future transfers, what type of chips, triple captain, and then I'll run through a chip strategy for me and also what players I want to bring in for future game weeks. Because while the doubles and blanks aren't confirmed yet, there's a high likely chance we know what they are. If you go into FPL team, you can see that for yourself. But first things first, we're leading up to Game Week 24. It is a huge triple captaincy option. Just on FPL team alone, there's already 1,500 or 1,400 triple captaincies activated. And most of them, you'd have to think, would be on Mo Salah. I mean, I guess you could take a massive punt and go Gakpo. I heard someone the other day say they wanted to do it on Pickford. Man, you better hope for 2 cleans. But let's have a look at Salah. So before we go through Salah's his double game weeks, we've got 3 options here. We've got Salah in 24. We've got him also in 33. I've got Haaland at 36, and I've also chucked in Palmer at 36 too. Chelsea's going through a bit of a rut right now, but you'd have to expect they'll turn it around. They're good enough too, and they love scoring. So a lot of people are going in, as I said, for Game Week 24, Bournemouth away and Everton away. So let's focus on the latter for a second. The Everton-Liverpool games are usually, I say usually with an asterisk, usually pretty tight affairs. We know Everton have the Sean Dyche team, essentially, that loves to defend and get nil-alls or 1-0s. But they've got a different manager now. So whether or not they can do that and hold off their crosstown rivals, or maybe it's muscle memory and they can still do it. I'm not entirely sure. It is the last derby match at Goodison Park before they get the new stadium. However, they did beat them last season. So maybe, whilst they still want to win, the fans still want to get one over Liverpool. Maybe the desperation might not be there. They could play into the triple captain's hands for Mo Salah. The issue I have is the first game of the game week, which is Bournemouth away at Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth are in red-hot form right now. And we know they don't have extra injuries. They've got heaps, but they don't have extra. So they're still going to field a team. They're going to press high. They're going to get in behind. And they're scoring goals at will. They put 5 past Forest, which is the 3rd best defense. They're going against the 1st best defense this week. I think they can probably score a few goals against Liverpool. Just as a word of caution as well, this might be a double game week for us. But for the actual teams, it's not really, because the last game of the game week is not until the 13th of February. So it's a week and a half away. They've got multiple games to play in Europe and cup competitions, especially Liverpool, between now and then, between Bournemouth and Everton. So it's not a double game week as in they have 2 or 3 games in a week just for the Premier League. So it's just an FYI for those that are thinking. So I think I still think this is the best opportunity for triple captaincy if you still have it, which is Bournemouth and Everton. They're both away. That's the issue. Another entry point for Salah would be Game Week 33. Now, these later game weeks are just doubles and blanks are just projected, so they're not confirmed yet. But if they get that Game Week 33, it's away to Leicester. You'd have to expect Leicester can't contain Liverpool, so he'd score a few there. And away to Villa as well. We know Villa's defensive woes. They might score a few goals, especially at home Villa, but holding out Liverpool while they're making a charge to the title, it's just not going to happen. So if you don't use it this game week, and if you're using the assistant manager chip on slot, or if you're not using any chips and your team's well positioned, that is a potential another double game week for Mo Salah if you want to use it on him. The reason why I put Erling Haaland here is he's the most expensive. This could be Foden, this could be Marmoush by the time we see it. Could be the likes of Doku, Savio. Game Week 36 is literally 3 months away, so we don't have to worry about it just yet. But they've got Southampton away and Aston Villa at home. Southampton away is the plum fixture in Premier League this year. And Aston Villa at home, we know Aston Villa don't travel that well. So if City have picked up their form, then Game Week 36 for Erling Haaland or a City asset could be very, very interesting. Likewise for Palmer at Chelsea. They travel to Newcastle, which would be a tough one, but you'd expect Palmer to get some returns there. And then they have Everton at home. It all depends on whether or not Everton have to win. They've got to fight for it. If they don't, then it could be a bloodbath, really. If Everton are safe, they're not going to get into Europe. They're not at risk of relegation by game week 36, then we could see a record number of goals there if they've gone off the ball or if they've gone on holiday mode or on the beach, as people say. So those will be my top 4 currently. But as I said, I'll talk about them again once the doubles and single and blank game weeks are confirmed. But I think if you have it and you're playing it this week, it's probably the safest bet in terms of EO. His EO will be over 200%. I can't play it, so obviously I don't want him to score 20, 30 points. But for those that do play it, and he does, I hope that works out for you. And this week specifically, is it worth it? So we'll focus specifically on Bournemouth and Everton. So Bournemouth are the top 4 defensive team. So that's 17th, as in 17th best. Sorry, 17th worst. It's just how it was set up. Goals conceded 26. Everton are 12th. They've conceded 28. Both teams blanked over the weekend, had clean sheets last weekend. So these stats are right. The stats are from a week and a half ago. So, but we see that Bournemouth, specifically in the top line there, home goals conceded 0.70. Away, it's 1.5. It's quite high for them, considering that number 4, but 0.70. So there's a chance they won't even concede at home. I know that's completely different with Liverpool's attacking assets, but there is a bit of a concern there that Liverpool could do a job. That Bournemouth could do a job on them. Everton themselves, they concede 1.18 at home and 1.5 away. So chances are they'll get a goal, but it doesn't mean they're going to score 2 and 3. They've left the Wolves one there just for people, because if you've bought in assets not on a free hit or something, you're probably going to keep them for Wolves at Anfield as well. And Wolves are the worst defense in the league. So look at that, number one in terms of goals conceded per 90, number 1 at home, and they're even worse away. So at least 2.5 goals or 2.3 goals, whether you're at home or away. And the reverse fixtures last at the start of the season in game week 5, they had Bournemouth at Anfield. Diaz was on his run. He scored 2 goals. Salah got an assist. It was 3-0 to Liverpool. And then the original fixture for Wolves, which was at Wolves' home, Jota got 2 assists. Salah got a goal. It was a 2-1 victory. So it is what it is. But in terms of Bournemouth, that's a much different side now to what Bournemouth was back then. The 3-0, obviously very surprised that Liverpool beat them 3-0. I reckon it'll be a 1-1 or 2-2, something like that. But in terms of Liverpool, you've probably got Salah. We're probably going to captain him. Also, you want to bring in some transfers. So who's the best to bring in the transfers for? Do you want to go defense? Do you want to go 3 attack? Let's have a look at the last 6 game weeks. On this ticker, we've got Gakpo, Diaz, Szoboszlai, McAllister, all midfielders. Sorry, Gakpo's a forward. Diaz, Szoboszlai, McAllister, the midfielders, and Trent and Van Dijk in defense as well. I was going to put Konate on here, but doesn't really show up. He's missed a few games, but if you really had to save that money, Konate is the one to go for. But I've highlighted in the green and yellow, or blue and yellow, who was the best for each individual category, and you can see straight off the top of the bat, Cody Gakpo smashing it in pretty much every category. This is over the last 6 game weeks. He's got 7 returns, 5 goals, 2 assists. His XG is 2.5. His XGI is 4.3, pretty much. He's got 6 bonus over those 6 game weeks. And I've put influence, creativity, and threat. It's not widely used in the FPL community, but it does show, especially the threat marker, does show how much threat they have, either to goal or in defense. You can see Virgil van Dijk down the very bottom there, 81. He's got threat. He threats the protecting the goals, or he threats the opposition. So Diaz, over the last 6 game weeks, he's been on a shocker, really. Like, he's had 1 goal and that's it, 1 bonus point. His influence of 53 is extremely low, considering Gakpo's is 248, 5 times influence that Diaz is having. I watched the Liverpool game last week, and Diaz he's just out of form a bit, I think. He was a step behind Gakpo. He was a step behind Szoboszlai when he was getting the attempts. But if they keep playing him, that'll change. His threat is quite up there as well, though. He is threatening on goal because he is playing up front, but it depends on how they do the matrix on that. I don't think the threat will turn into goals, but he could do. We'll see. I probably wouldn't go with him. Szoboszlai, goal and assist in the last 6, 1.4 XG, so that's more than Diaz, and 1.66. He doesn't have the XA, which is interesting. Considering he is an attacking midfielder, you'd expect the expected assist to be quite high. He does have 2 bonus. His influence is higher, but his creativity is less than Diaz, which is very interesting. Speaking of creativity, the next 2 have the highest creativity by some margin. Alexis McAllister has the most assists over the last 6 game weeks with 4. His XG is 0.7, but his XA is 1.62. So that's top 3 with Trent and Gakpo. And his 2.32 is pretty high as well in terms of XGI. He's got 2 bonus points over that period. His influence of 136 is pretty high. And his creativity is pretty high as well. So that's what you want from McAllister. So they're basically running 2 9s, but McAllister's a bit of an 8 as well. 2 10s. McAllister's doing it more of an 8's work, but I'm hoping McAllister can do pretty well in this game week. Obviously, selfishly, I've brought him in. I just remember him smashing me in over the last couple of seasons in double game weeks. So hopefully he can recapture that form. But 4 assists in 6. He was close to a couple against Ipswich, but I guess everyone was close to a couple against Ipswich, weren't they? Most people are. Let's have a look at Trent. So he does have a goal and 2 assists in the last 6. His XG is always very low, but his XA is the highest in the league usually, or at least up there. 2.63 for XGI is very high. He's got 5 bonus, and his creativity, that 236, that's purely based on crosses and passes. He works so well with Mo Salah. It'll be very interesting to see if Salah did leave at the end of the season and Trent stayed, what the dynamic will be for the new right winger. As it turns out, the opposite of that will happen, I'd say. And then Virgil van Dijk, as I said, if you can't afford Trent, you can't go the extra 1.1 or whatever it is up to Trent. Van Dijk, look, he's not going to get you attacking returns. You're looking at clean sheets, really. And as we said about Bournemouth and Everton, it might not get cleans. You're probably looking at a clean from game week 25, but do you need to bring him in for a double game week if that's the case? He's got no bonus, and he doesn't have really any influence as well. So, as I said, that's more just to get a body in there, like you would if you had to pick an Everton defender. Speaking of Everton defenders, I've had Pickford since my wild card in game week 21. This is how my team rocks right now in game week 24. I've got 4 doublers. I've got Pickford, I've got Konate, Mo Salah, obviously the captain, and Alexis McAllister. I am rolling the transfer. I am also avoiding the Everton trap because I've done this before a few times in the past where I've just gone all in on double game weeks and it's completely floored me for weeks after weeks. Don't forget, if you bring players in, you can't just take them straight out unless you're on a free hit. The only one I would probably take a gamble on is Illiman and Dye, but the way Manchester United are playing, I think Mateta will do well. I think Wood will do well, and Isaac will do, unfortunately, very well against my Fulham. So my team is Pickford in goal. He's got the double. Munoz, Konate's got the double. Hall, Palmer, Salah with a double, and captain. McAllister with a double. Gordon, Mateta, Wood, Isaac. There could be a benching dilemma between Mateta and Ahmad, but I'll probably play Mateta. I brought him in for this run of fixtures, and then I can get rid of him after that. Murillo, he's playing Brighton at home. So is Mazraoui playing Crystal Palace at home. I'll probably play Munoz away to Manchester United because I want to get some returns for my faith in him. He's got a couple of assists lately, but he needs to get more for me, so that's fine. Hall's at home to Fulham, and Konate's got the double. So I'm not going to bench boost. It's not good enough to bench boost, but it was a thought at one stage, but I don't think it's very good. So let's roll through what's happening for me over the next 3 or 4 blank and double game weeks that we've got. So in game week 29, there was a massive pack of blankers, specifically for Liverpool and Newcastle. They were quite the obvious ones. I had to get a lot of players in. Bench 3 assets. That's probably as much as I can do because I would have 4 transfers up my sleeve by then. 4 or 5 transfers up my sleeve by then. Notice how I have no Arsenal because I don't know where to go with Arsenal. What do you do? I guess I could have put Mazraoui to Gabriel and kept him that way. That would have given me the extra 2, but then they play Chelsea, and Chelsea love to score. So the team is Pickford in goal at home to West Ham. I've got Pickford and Fabianski, so obviously I'm going to play Pickford. I've got Huijsen and Kluivert from Brentford. So they're at home. Sorry, from Bournemouth. They're at home to Brentford. I've got Murillo and Wood They're away to Ipswich. That's a really good fixture. I've got Aitnori and Cunha away to Southampton, another plum fixture, and they'll stay there for a while. Masraoui and Ahmad from Manchester United, they're away to Leicester, another plum fixture. So I'm doubling up on all the teams that are travelling to the relegation fodder on game week 29. And I've also got Palmer and Mbeumo staying on my team. If all of these players were playing, then it would have been a bit of a benching headache, to be honest, this week, depending on who Hall and Isaac were playing. But this is how my game week 29 looks. I only need 3 transfers to get this done, and I'm pretty happy with my team moving forward. It does give me a little extra in the bank as well, just in case I want to bring in an Arsenal asset. I'm really thinking Palmer to Saka if Palmer's form doesn't pick up. It depends on what happens with Saka and Odegaard, and it depends what happens and what's left of the transfer period for both teams. So that's blank game week 29. A bunch of blankers there, but you can get a decent team out. Bench boost 33. So there's a big double game week in 33, and I've used 4 more transfers by now. After 29, I've used essentially 4 transfers in this week or leading up to it. So I've got, does this make or break for my season? This is one of the things I'm thinking. So I'm bench boosting in this double game week. I've got 26 fixtures across the board. The one that really pisses me off is Pickford has Manchester City at home. I guess in theory I could bring in another doubler and get rid of Pickford, but it depends on how he's gone until then. If he hasn't performed and given me decent hauls by then, I can just get rid of him for the last 5 fixtures. I've only got 14s in my starting 11, or starting 10, I should say, the 11 with Pickford. Whereas you can see it's all lined up perfectly. My OCD is very happy. We've got Bournemouth, Newcastle, Liverpool, and Manchester United. And my bench boost is Fabianski away to Southampton. If he's not the number 1 choice goalie, then I'm going to flick him off and get someone new. I've got Wood away to Tottenham. I've got Munoz, who's got another double, Newcastle and Bournemouth, and then Palmer away to Fulham in a local derby there. But Huijsen, Hall, Kanate, Masraoui, these are the ones I'd start. Kluivert, Gordon, Salah, Ahmad, Isaac, and Gakpo. Obviously, Salah's going to be my captain. He looks so good wearing the captain's armband there, don't you think? He looks pretty confident. I think he'll give me big points here. This is 71. I'm expecting a lot more out of this. But as I said, game week 33 is close to 3 months away, so half of these players could be injured by then. I just don't know. So that's the bench boost chip. Now I've got the free hit chip in the next game week because it's another blank. It's got 3 Newcastle. So Gordon comes back into my team for the game week. So I've got Hall, Gordon, and Isaac. Isaac will be the captain. I've got 2 Arsenal, Fulham, and Wolves. So Robinson and Iwobi come in from Fulham. The Arsenal players are Raya and goal, and also Saka. They're at home to Crystal Palace, so I could have brought in Gabriel or Saliba. Double Arsenal defense, I'm not entirely sure. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. If they're doing very well in terms of their defensive structure, then I'll do it. Otherwise, I won't bother, I don't think. And Mbeumo and Wood, they just look good there. Wood might be a season keeper for me, actually. I don't mind benching Chris Wood. Like, I know he's a striker and all, but I don't mind benching him. Brentford at home, he can stay there. And I've put Matoma, Van Heck, and Murillo and Sells on the bench just in case any of those players don't play. I've got decent backups, but I don't intend to play them. So potentially in game week 34, there will be 9 teams blanking, which is probably the biggest blank of the season. Hence why I'm free hitting, so I don't have to destroy my team in the weeks leading up. I've already done the bench boost in game week 33, so if I do free hit 34, then my team will go back to as is. And then in game week 35, assistant manager chip comes out. Now, initially, my thought was straight away was Pep Guardiola, assistant manager 35. Let's go. They've got Wolves in 35. Then 36, they've got Southampton and Villa, 2 good fixtures. And then they've got Bournemouth at home. Villa's at home, so is Bournemouth. So they've got 3 home fixtures in the 4. I've got a Spurs defender there. I've put an exclamation point next to that because it sounds ludicrous, but they've got half decent fixtures towards the end of the season. And if Van der Ven is anything like he was at the start, I'll keep him on. And then we've got Salah, permanent captain. So the team for the assistant manager would be Pickford. He's got Ipswich at home. Hence why I want to keep hold of him. It's just that City in 33 that I am bench boosting is a bit frustrating. So I might have to bench him for that one. He can be part of the boost. Got Munoz at home to Forest. Vardiol at home to Wolves and Van der Ven away to West Ham. We've seen this season if he's away to West Ham, it doesn't really matter. Ahmad away to Brentford. Salah away to Chelsea. He's the captain. Gordon away to Brighton. A lot of these players are away. That's why I'm using the bench boost. Palmer is at home to Liverpool. Apology there. I misspoke. So a lot of these players have away games. That's why I'm not doing the bench boost in 30 and 35. I'm doing it in 33. Chris Wood travels to Crystal Palace. Marmouche, I've got Marmouche there. I've got to give him a crack. We'll see how he goes. That could be anyone by then, but I just wanted a piece of City as well to get 3 City, and then a Gakpo as well away to Chelsea. That again could change. Mazraoui, Kanate, and Kluivert on the bench, and also Fabianski as well. So that's just something I'm thinking about. Assistant manager 35. I think the assistant manager chip could be very, very good. It's just people don't know how to use it yet. I will say that everyone else has probably said on their podcast, but once you choose a manager, if you change your decision about which manager it is in the same game week, that'll cost you a -4. It's the same as bringing your player in. If you bring them into your team, that's your transfer for the week. If you try and transfer them out, -4, it'll cost you 4 points. That's a hit. So don't do it until you're absolutely sure, but if you are, lock it in whenever you feel. I always like to do chips around doubles unless I'm overconfident, like I was at the start of the season, about the triple captaincy chip. So my chip usage is thus. Bench boost 33. As I said, we've got Villa, Bournemouth, Liverpool, United, and Turn. They've all got doubles. Currently have 7 doublers. I think that'll rise. Kluivert, Huijsen, Rodgers, and Gakpo are all considerations. My triple captaincy was played in game week 2 with Erling Haaland back when he was good in scoring. Although now he scored 4 in a row. He might be playing himself into some form. 3 goals, 3 bonus, 17 points, 51 points in total. It's what you'd expect from a striker. If that was a midfielder, he'd probably end up having 25 points. Shows how much the FPL has changed. My free hit is looking like it's going to be game week 34. There's no Bournemouth, Villa, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, or United. However, you can go all in on Arsenal, Fulham, Newcastle, Forest, Wolves, and they've all got good fixtures. So that'll be my recommendation. Wildcard 1, I've already played both of them. To recap, Wildcard 1 was played in game week 4, 38 points. I dropped from 1 million to 2 million pretty much straight away, and then I was struggling for the rest of the half season. Wildcard 2 was in game week 21. I've got 101 points, and I had a rise from 3.2 million rank to 2.1. The reason why I pulled it in game week 21, excuse me, was because my rank was so shocking and I needed a change. Now, these strategies don't work for everyone, but it worked for my particular team because at the time I had a few flags in my team, but also had a couple of players who weren't getting starts. I'd taken too much of a risk, so that's why I pulled the wild card. But for those that haven't wild carded yet, any of those other chip strategies I've talked about in those game weeks, they could be a really good go. I'd still do I'd still do maybe a wildcard 32, then bench boost 33 could work for you. But we'll see. We can talk about that closer to the date for those that haven't got it. Now, the assistant manager chip, I've keyed it in for game week 35 to 37. As I said, Pep Guardiola has got Wolves, Southampton, Villa, and Bournemouth. If City needs to win these 4 games, it'll bring them huge points. However, there's also a secondary option with a caveat that they might also be pretty average by then. But Everton and David Moyes, just think about this. If they're fighting relegation, they should beat Ipswich and Southampton at home. They should get big points for that in terms of keeping cleans, etc., etc. But then they've also got Fulham and Chelsea, who will be over 5 points ahead of them, right? And Fulham and Chelsea might be on the beach then. I think Fulham will be. I don't think we're going, well, our fixtures are about to turn, so I'm not entirely sure we're going to get up there for European competition. There's no way we're going to get relegated. This happened last year as well. We had 2 games off, and then all of a sudden, a third game, we would beat someone like Tottenham, but then we'd go to sleep against teams that we should have won against. So I can see this happening. If they travel to Craven Cottage and beat us, that would be a huge bonus. And also the same with Chelsea. We've seen them struggling of late. They haven't won many in the last 7. I think they've only won 1. They've drawn a few, but they haven't won many. But, yeah, just a sneaky one on David Moyes. It could be a really good boost to finish your season on. If they smash Ipswich and Southampton and then Fulham and Chelsea, they get the bonus for. That'll give you. You're probably looking at 60 points by then, depending on the points progress. No one really knows what to think in terms of points. A few people in the community have gone back and said, well, if you played at this one last week, then you would have got 60 points for your 4 games, but that's fine. But the point system's also changed, don't forget. So if you're confused about it and you're trying to understand it from different content creators, take it with a grain of salt, because essentially no one's done it. It's from GW24 this game week that it can be done. There will be people in the community smashing it out straight away, and then we can have a look and see what they did and if it worked. If it doesn't work, then we can all panic together. But if it does work, then I'm sure everyone will want to give it a crack when they deem it best. The question is, with the assistant managership, do you go with someone mid-table playing teams above them that you think will win, or do you go safe? Someone who's got 4 green fixtures, a little bit like this for Man City, although Villa and Bournemouth at the end aren't as easy as they were 3 or 4 weeks ago, especially Bournemouth. And City, as we know, have struggled this season. I mean, they're still 4th in the league. Everyone talks about how much they struggle and how bad they're going. They're still 4th. I'd kill for my team to be 4th. Literally, I would do whatever it took for my team to finish 4th in the Premier League. Fulham, I reckon it'll be amazing. Yeah, I don't think City's having as bad a season as it is, but people know how to attack them now, which is interesting. And I think, judging from last week, what Bournemouth did to Forest, that could be happening to them as well soon, in terms of people knowing how to play against them. I still think Forest will do pretty well, but might have been a bit of a key unlocked there. All right, I'll stop rambling. Thank you very much for tuning into my video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the transfer plans. I've spoken about at least 30, 50 players and about 5 or 6 managers as well. So if you have any questions or comments, leave a like, subscribe, and then I'll answer your comment as well. But I hope you have a really good week. I hope you have greens in this double game week, and I hope your differential score hat tricks. Thank you for watching. My name's Luke, FPL Crusader. Have a good day. Thank you.